You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Brandon Allison is suing his ex-girlfriend, Nicole Cook, for damaged and stolen property and for filing a false restraining order.
Order. All rise. It's case number 14 on the calendar, the matter of Allison versus Cook.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Cook, I'm going to start with you. You and your children moved in to Mr. Allison's home in what month and year?
We officially moved everything in July of 2018.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you own this home?
I do, Your Honor.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 children.
And in what month did Mr. Allison leave the house as a result of the order of protection that you filed?
That was in December of 2018.
So you had lived there a total of 5 months
Yes, Your
with your
Honor.
children?
Yes, Your Honor.
This is what the case is about. You and Mr. Allison had an argument. The argument became a physical argument. At some point, you went to court and filed for a protective order against Mr. Allison. You were not, in fact, in the home. You were not, in fact, in the home. You had left the home with your children.
Mr. Allison changed the locks to the home that we were living in.
Ms. Cook, let's be clear. At the time you filed for a protective order against Mr. Cook, after this argument, you and your children were not living in the home.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long had you not been in the home? Number of days or more?
3 to 4 days, Your Honor.
And where were you living for the 3 or 4 days with your children?
We had to reside at a hotel.
Where had you been living before you moved in with Mr. Allison?
I had a residence in Collinsville, Illinois.
You rented a place?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So what I want to see is your application for a protective order, which you got ex parte, which means you went by yourself, because whatever order you requested, somehow a judge excluded Mr. Allison from his own home.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I would like to see why, because that's what this case was about. This case is about the fact that you and the plaintiff had a fight. Nothing good about that. You had been living together for 5 months. It wasn't that you knew each other for years before that. You had been actually living together for 5 months. And children, you had a residence. So now the relationship is over. And I'm not quite understanding why you think you had the right to go back and stay in that home and exclude Mr. Allison.
Your Honor, the judge, whenever I got the emergency order protection, gave me possession. I never asked for it.
Well, that's what I want to see.
Granted.
That's what I want to see, because there's something that sounds markedly unfair to me. Doesn't it sound unfair to you to put someone out of their home for, I don't know, 3 months or more? Mr. Allison says that when he got back, there were things missing from the house that belonged to him, and that's what the case is about. So I would like to see your application for a protective order. Absolutely outrageous. I've read the allegations that you make in your application for a protective order, and you were out of the house. Actually, there's no place in this application for protective order that says to the court that this is his home and that you were living there a relatively short period of time, less than half a year. And the most that you talk about here is that he broke your phone during an argument. That's pretty much it, that you had fights and he broke your phone. And for that, the judge found parties have the right to occupy the premises, but the balance of equities reside in your favor. Outrageous. Just outrageous. Okay. The order was in December of 2018. On what date did you finally get back into your house, Mr. Allison?
Your Honor, I regained full access, unfettered access to my home on the 30th of March.
Did you ever have a hearing on this order of protection?
Ma'am, we had many hearings, Your Honor.
How was it finally resolved? Is there a final order of protection is the question?
Yes.
Can I see a copy of that?
Yes, Your Honor. And I do have 2 amended OPs as well, if you'd like to see those.
Yes. How many hearings did you have?
Everything said and done, I'd say...
How many hearings did you have, Ms. Cook?
4.
I would say around 6 hearings, Your Honor.
Did you have an attorney?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
Oh, so he granted. It was filed on December 17th, where the judge granted exclusive occupancy to you of the
Yes, Your Honor.
premises. And then there's some kind of scribble here. Is this the way they do that there?
Yes, Your Honor.
For 4 months until April 17th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Did you pay all of the utilities on the residence starting in December?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. And I even
Until
paid,
when?
Until I moved out, and I even paid back utilities.
Whatever. You paid the utilities. That was ordered by the judge, because evidently he went a little crazy. Now that I have a picture of what was going on here, I'd like you to tell me what damage to the property do you allege, and what property do you allege she took without your permission?
So when I first gained access to the house, that would have been on March 29th. Virtually everything was gone. My furniture, my televisions, stuff that I collected in active duty.
Did you get them back?
I did at the last moment.
How did you get them back?
I filed for a motion with the order of protection judge, and the judge ordered that she return my possessions within 7 days.
Where did you take his possessions?
They were our possessions, and
No, not-
our stuff was all mixed into 3 different storage units over a time span of going back and forth in the relationship.
You moved into his house in July. When you moved into his house, was his house furnished or not furnished?
Semi. We collected.
When you moved out on March 29th, did you take some of his furniture?
No, I did not take any of his furniture when I moved out on March 29th.
Did you take his furniture at any other time prior to March 29th?
There was a couch set that we had gotten, and there was a bedroom set that he had given my...
You returned it.
I did not take furniture that was not partly mine.
What are you alleging, sir, that she took of yours that you still don't have?
There are a lot of things that can't be...
Look at me.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want to tell me what you're alleging that she took of yours that you didn't get back?
Of a monetary value would be a Roku stick.
What is that?
It plugs into the television so that you can watch Netflix and whatnot.
Next.
Next. A personal hair trimmer.
Next.
Okay. I understand. It's right.
I mean, I actually think that some judge gave her the opportunity to stay in your home. I can't go beyond that. Do you understand that, Mr. Allison? Okay. So I'm not going beyond that, and you've already had hearings on that. So I'm not entertaining the part of your case that deals with filing for a false restraining order. So your case has 2 parts to it. The first part of your case is items that you allege that she took that you didn't get back. And so far, I'm hearing a lot of nonsense. You want to tell me if there's anything important that you didn't get back, not your hair trimmer?
The most important thing would be my washer and dryer set that I bought in November. It was $1,284.
I'd like to see the bill. Washer and dryer, did you take it?
That was returned to the store.
Why was it returned to the store?
Because we had separated, and the washer and dryer was bought with my money.
Just a second. So you bought it, you used it for 4 months, and is what you're telling me the store gave you your money back?
Your Honor, it was not used for 4 months, and it was returned.
No. Was it installed in the house?
They delivered it to install it, yes.
Was it installed in the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you use it to wash clothes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then the store didn't take it back and give you money.
Yes, Your Honor, they did.
Prove it to me. Prove it to me
Okay.
that the store...
I'll
wait right here.
Have...
Go get somebody at the store to tell me that they gave you back the money for the washer and dryer after you used it. I don't care if you used it for a month. You get where I'm going?
I do.
Good. $1,283.74. That's the washer and dryer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next.
As far as property, monetary value?
Property. Washer and dryer is property.
That was by far the biggest one.
Okay, then let's move on.
Okay.
Now you say that there was damage to the home. I'd like to see photographs of the damage.
Mind you, one of those pictures, Your Honor, is the storage unit that my items were in.
I don't know what this is.
One was the bathroom closet door, the other was the guest bedroom door. There were holes punched in the door and patched over.
How did the window get broken?
We had a really long windstorm for a few days that continued, and the back door, it doesn't close all the way, and the wind caught it, and it ended up breaking the glass.
May I see either the bill or the invoice for fixing it?
I don't have that, Your Honor.
Well, how am I supposed to make a determination of how much it cost to fix it?
I suppose you can't.
I suppose not. Okay, so we have $1,283. You have a counterclaim. Return of funds for renovation. What is that for?
The return of funds that Mr. Allison kept of mine.
$1,200, what did I say? $83.74. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Honor,
We're finished.
I would like to ask that my daughter is able to come out here and testify as well, because my countersuit involves more than just money.
We're done. $1,283.74. We're finished.
Parties are excused. Step out.
I'm glad that I could get something back. She knows the system. She knows how to play it. That's how we ended up here. I was put out of my house for 108 days. I lost my cat for 108 days. Take care of yourself before you try to take care of others.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Schofield, Fallensby versus Nelson, step forward.
Natasha Schofield and her father, Michael Nelson, for tree services, harassment, and invasion of privacy.
Who's going to speak?
She will.
And you are Miss Schofield.
Yes, ma'am.
You both own the property,
Correct.
And you live together?
Yes.
And the property is adjacent to Miss Nelson's property
Yes,
that
ma'am.
you own.
Yeah.
And there is a tree that's on your property.
Yes, ma'am.
And the tree, according to you, hangs over your property.
Some of the branches do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a picture of it.
Can I say something about the tree, Your Honor?
Shh. No, don't tell me anything about the tree. I just want to see visualize what we're talking about. I see a lot of trees. Is this the tree that you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
And these are the branches, and this is your house?
The White House is mine.
Okay, so some of these branches hang over your roof.
My roof and my backyard and my driveway.
Okay.
She complains about all the trees.
What?
She complains about all the trees.
Well, she's talking about this tree right now. And if it hangs over your property, trim it.
Yes, so I tried to do that. However, Miss Nelson put things on the Exeter Facebook page along with our co-op's Facebook page.
The co-op is...
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Oh, just a second. That's a different story.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you have a letter, Ms. Schoenfeld, from the board that says that they are allowing you to trim the trees and they've given you permission, stop shaking your head.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Natasha Schofield and her father, Michael Fallensby, claim living next to neighbor Leona Nelson is a nightmare. Leona's countersuing for damages to her house and property and harassment.
Okay, so you don't own your home.
Yes, we do.
Well, not if you live in a cooperative.
We own our home and rent our land.
In a cooperative, you own shares in a cooperative. Not in this, what state do you live in?
New Hampshire, and basically what it is a company talks a mobile home park into letting the residents do the rules instead of having an owner do the rules.
So it's a mobile home park.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you pay rent or maintenance to
We
an
lease-
organization for the land?
Yes.
Yes.
We lease the lot.
Then
We
you-
don't pay
just a
rent.
second. Then you can't cut the tree. Deal with it. And if you don't like that, sue the cooperative. There must be a president of the cooperative, and there must be a co-op board. Is there a co-op board?
Is it-
Yes, Your Honor.
And is there a president of the co-op board?
Yes.
Yes, Your
No,
Honor.
it's just the board president. There's no
I
president.
just said the board president.
I thought you meant president and board.
No. There's a board and the president of the board.
Yes, Your
And if the
Honor.
president of the board allows a hazardous condition to be maintained, you sue them. You don't sue her.
Your Honor, I went to the board. They told me that we would have to pay for the trimming of the branches because there wasn't any money in the fund.
Just a second. Well, if you have a letter, Ms. Schoenfeld, from the board that says that they are allowing you to trim the trees that overhang your mobile home, which you own, and they've given you permission to do, stop shaking your head. Stop. Did you hear what I said?
Yes, ma'am.
And if they've given you permission to do that, but they've said, you're right, go ahead and do it, but we have no money in our fund to do that. If you want to do it and take that expense on yourself, we give you permission to do that because you're just lessees of the land. Then do it. And if what you're complaining about is that she wrote on her Facebook page or somebody's face about that.
I actually went out and hired the company to come in, and they were told to leave her property.
She told them.
Then the co-op board has to deal with her.
Yes.
That's
Your Honor,
not for
I
me
already-
to deal with her. That's for the co-op board to deal with her and say to her, we, not you, own this property, and we are going to be there. The president of the board is there when you hire a company and says to the people who are going to trim the tree, this is our property, you may trim the tree. You can't get me involved with her because she's doing the wrong thing. What do you want me to do with her?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All I want to know is, do you own the land?
No.
Then if you don't own the land, you can't tell anybody to get off the land.
Well, I also went to the co-op board, and they said that
Don't tell me what they said.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Natasha Schofield and her father, Michael Follansbee, claim living next to neighbor Leona Nelson is a nightmare. Leona's countersuing for damages to her house and property and harassment.
Okay. All I want to know is, do you own the land?
No.
Good. Then if you don't own the land, you can't tell
I
any...
also went to the co-op board,
Good.
and they said that
Don't tell me what they said.
Okay, well...
I don't care what they
Okay.
told you. I'm telling you.
Okay.
She's allowed to trim property because if you prevent her...
Okay, we're not allowed
listen,
to. There's a rule that says we can't.
I'm telling her, if she gets a letter from the board, then she can do it. And
Okay.
you can't stop her.
That's true.
Right. And if you say that there's a rule that you can't trim trees, and they're not going to give her the letter. I don't have to speculate into all that. Now, you have a counterclaim for harassment.
Because Michael keeps harassing me, and he doesn't live there. He lives in New Jersey.
So?
We have a whole set of rules for the co-op. You can't own a home where we live unless you live in it, and he lives in New Jersey.
Okay, so you notify the co-op board, and then the co-op board will tell him, then the co-op board will tell him not to live there. What else?
Well, like the cats and dogs, it's like we have a cat and dog rule. You have to have the cats in the house, and you can't have the dog outside unless you're with the dog. And her animals are in my yard. I have a video of her cat tearing up my screen.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, I'd like to see a picture for that.
Now I know where all the rips are coming from the screen.
Do you have a picture of the ripped screen?
Just the video, and there's a picture of the cat. Maybe you can see it better.
No. Listen to me. I asked you a simple question. Do you have a picture of a ripped screen?
Just in that picture.
There's nothing in this picture.
Well, that's
I need to see a picture of the damage to the screen. That you don't see here. And by the way, I would keep my cat inside. You have a hostile neighbor, and if you love your cat, I would keep your cat
Ma'am, I asked her about that one
indoors.
time.
I don't ask you anything. All I asked you is, first thing, a picture of the damage, which you don't have.
Yes, ma'am. I thought.
What's next?
Well, she actually told me that she doesn't think cats should be inside, and that's
We're
why
done.
the cat
Thank you
was
very
out.
much. Your case is dismissed.
Wait a minute,
Social counterclaim. We're done.
Wait a
Thank
minute.
you.
Sorry, Judge. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Leona is harassing me and my children.
She's harassed me to the point where I can't even work now.
We called the police. They came out and they charged her.
I'm being treated for high blood pressure and panic attacks.
We should be able to enjoy our backyard.
This woman is going to...
The relationship between us for the past year and a half has been very tumultuous.
There was no chance of patching things up.
She had sent me a text message telling me she's uneasy about getting back together with me.
You were angry.
Then, did he leave her deflated?
Do you have any proof that Mr. Condon slashed your tires?
I do not at this point.
This is the only point. This is my point.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Christine Morricone is suing her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Condon, for slashing her tires and disposing of 2 of her bicycles.
Order. All rise. It's case number 83 on the calendar in the matter of Morricone versus Condon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Morricone, you and the defendant were in a relationship. That relationship terminated when?
Terminated on April, no, I'm going to say right after Christmas.
Well, right after Christmas also would be April, but
no,
it's kind of an odd way
December.
of saying it. Had you lived together?
No.
It is your claim that Mr. Condon slashed the tires on your car. That's one of your claims. On what date do you allege that that happened?
On April 11th or 12th, early in the morning.
So that was some 3 months and some days after you broke up.
Yes, he was in... Yes,
That was
yes,
some
Your Honor.
3 months later. Now, you didn't see him slash your tires, so you must have some other proof that he slashed your tires because Mr. Condon unequivocally denies it.
Okay. Well, the relationship between us for the past year and a half has been very tumultuous.
Listen to me. I don't care about any of that. That's not this. That's not this program. This is a fact-based court program.
Okay.
You allege somewhere between April 11th and April 12th that Mr. Condon slashed your tires. And it's not up to him to prove that he didn't do it. It's up to you to give me some evidence that he did do it. The fact that you had a tumultuous relationship with him for a year and a half is not it.
Okay.
Do you have any direct proof that Mr. Condon slashed your tires?
No, I do not at this point.
No, this is the only point. This is my point. This is the time that
No, I do not at this point. My case is the return of the return to me.
So you're withdrawing the allegation of the slashed tires?
Well, the slashed tires was not part of this whole allegation. This allegation was for the bicycles that he has stored and refuses to give back to me. That's what the allegation is. And that was after. That was after he slashed the tires.
Just a second. You say in your complaint the very next morning after something happened, I woke up and my tires were slashed.
Right.
What do we talk about that for?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Okay.
You know,
well, you signed it. I didn't write it. Believe me, I didn't write it.
Okay.
Okay, so you stored 2 bicycles with him when?
In the fall of 2018, prior to him going to Florida for 3 months.
Give me the month.
November.
That's a question mark. Is it November?
November, Your Honor.
And the 2 of you broke up in December of 2018.
Correct.
Where was he storing your bicycles?
In his mother's commercial building, in the basement. He said to me... Yeah.
And they were stored in his mother's building when he left to Florida in November, and you were still a couple.
Yes.
Yes. And then you broke up December 28th. When did you make the first demand for the bicycles?
On April 20th.
Okay, so between January, February, March, and up until April 25th, you had made no request for the bicycles?
No.
Okay. And tell me how you communicated the bicycle request to return the bicycles on April 25th.
Via email.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
Well, you say to him, I want to make arrangements to get the 2 bikes. And he says, you told me to get rid of everything. Everything is gone.
That's a lie. I am...
Are the bicycles in your...
No, they are not, Your Honor.
Okay. I'd like to know when you went to your mother's building to get them.
Can I start off with some of her facts?
No.
Well, I'm not going to be able to lay out my defense?
No. Listen, this is not some Supreme Court case.
No, I understand that, but this is our breakup date. You know, here it is in writing.
Pay careful attention. I have an email from her in April, an email from you saying you told me to get rid of everything, and I did.
Here's a complete police report on April 25th, ma'am, if you'd like to look at it.
No, I want you to answer my question.
This is evidence.
I'll look at it. I want you to answer my questions.
Well,
playpen.
My
playpen.
I get that, Your Honor.
I asked you a very simple question. When did you remove the bikes from your mother's commercial basement?
April 12th.
At what time?
In the morning.
Did you take anything else out of the storage other than the bikes? Did you take anything?
This is all that I had.
Just a second. I'm speaking. Did you take anything else out of the storage? The answer is either a yes or a no. So you just removed the 2 bikes.
Right.
And you have a key to the storage.
Yes.
And tell me what you did with the bikes on April 11th.
I brought the bikes to my residency.
And that is in what state? That wasn't Florida.
New York State.
New York State. And from your home, what did you do with the bikes?
I chained them up in the yard.
Is that where they remain, or did they move?
They moved.
To where?
They moved approximately 2 weeks later. I went back to check on the bikes, and somebody had gotten to the bikes and tried to steal them. So I put the bikes in front of my yard with a free sign on it because I had not heard from Miss Marconi in over 2 weeks about these bikes.
Okay, so now I'm going to look at the police report. On what day did you work?
April 11th at 9 p.m.
Just a second. So it was.
I have an email.
Just a second.
Oh.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
Did you, on or immediately before April 11th, request that the plaintiff pick you up at the airport? That's a question. That requires a yes?
Yes.
Or a no?
Yes.
Okay. On what date did you ask, before you know where I'm going, your answer was yes. You asked her to pick you up from the airport, and you arrived home on April 11th from Florida. You landed at what airport?
Stewart International Airport, Newburgh, New York.
And what time, do you remember what time you arrived?
9 p.m.
So you have all that good information. That's
a
great thing. On what date had you communicated with the plaintiff to ask her if she would pick you up at the airport?
Ma'am, I don't remember what the date was.
Just a second. Just
okay.
a second. Was it within the week?
It was in a 2-month period with which we were communicating on the phone.
Okay, so while you were communicating on the phone, listen, my question to you is, if you and the plaintiff had been sort of on the outs since the end of December and were communicating by phone, we all know when you come back, especially when you fly into Stewart, you don't have to make your reservation 2 months in advance. So within 3 or 4 days prior to your arriving, did you ask the plaintiff to pick you up at the airport?
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
But I do have this, you do have to look at this email.
I will absolutely do that. On what date did he ask you to pick him up at the airport?
We made arrangements probably, I'm going to say around December 1st.
Okay, may I see the email, please?
That's the breakup date, January 10th.
Fine, it doesn't matter. In the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. I'm just sort of interested, Mr. Condon, why on April 11th you found it, which was the day that you arrived.
Yeah.
Why you found it necessary to go to storage and get the 2 bikes and chain them to the backyard?
Because, Your Honor, I told her, we had a phone conversation after she broke up with me in a text message and said she didn't want anything to do with me on the 11th in the morning, on April 11th in the morning, out of nowhere, after we've been talking for 2 months, she had sent me a text message telling me she's been thinking about things and she's uneasy about getting back together with me about it.
Yeah.
So I told her, I picked up the phone and I called her and I said, I would like you to get your things tomorrow from my possession. Otherwise, I'm going to get rid of them. She said, I don't have anywhere to put them. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Get rid of them. And that's what, so I held the things for another 2 weeks.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I held, this was the 12th, ma'am.
No.
I held
No,
the
you
things
didn't.
in my possession for 2 more weeks.
No, you didn't. They weren't doing anything from the 11th to the 25th in your mother's basement that they hadn't been doing from November to April. You were angry. And that's why you went and got them. You were angry.
No, I did. I told her I didn't want anything to do with her anymore. I have emails to the effect.
Well, that's fine. Do you have an email from her saying, get rid of the bikes?
No, I don't.
Right. Timing is just too coincidental, sir. And the one thing that you get to know when you get old, and you're not there yet, of course, is that there are very few coincidences in life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you buy these bikes? Show me the receipts.
I don't have the receipts.
If you don't have proof, you don't have anything. The bikes are worth $50 a piece. That's it, unless you have a receipt.
And later today,
You're suing them for illegally locking you out of your half and on when welfare didn't.
Okay, it's still paying rent.
No, that's not you paying rent. That's me paying rent.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Christine Morricone says ex-boyfriend Matthew Condon slashed her tires and got rid of 2 of her bicycles. Matthew is countersuing for the return of his belongings.
Now, when did you buy these bikes?
One bike.
Show me the receipts.
I don't have the receipts. One of the bikes I bought off of eBay, a brand new bike from a woman. I met her at Paramus.
Listen, I don't believe. If you don't have proof, you don't have anything. The bikes are worth $50 a piece, and he got rid of them, and he got rid of them maliciously. That's it. Unless you have a receipt.
I have
a receipt.
I have receipts of what it's going to cost me to replace them.
$100. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
Excuse me, I got a counter plaintiff.
You got
I got a counter lawsuit on her.
Because you stayed over at the house a lot and she threw away some of your stuff?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Whoa, 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 Your Honor. One of these things are medication worth $1,000.
What, the Viagra?
Okay. Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's vindictive, he's a liar, he's a thief.
She's kind of just glad that this is over with so I can move on with my life and be done with her for good.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hollingsworth versus Adams. Step forward.
James Hollingsworth is suing his estranged in-laws, Alvin and Judy Adams, for an illegal lockout, the return of property, and the return of his dog.
Mr. Hollingsworth, are you currently married to the defendant's daughter?
We're separated.
But you're married?
Yes.
And in what year were you married?
2006.
Do you have any children?
No.
In what year did you move in with your in-laws?
They moved in with us.
So it was your house?
No, it's their house, but their daughter lived there. They lived up the mountain.
In what year did you move into their house?
2004.
Were you working?
Off and on.
Were you paying the Adamses any rent?
Yes.
How much?
$400 plus maintenance.
$400 per month. And who paid the rent when you weren't working?
Welfare.
How long did welfare pay the rent?
Well, I don't know exactly how long. It's all been broken up from the time I worked at the...
You and your wife are currently separated.
Yes.
And your wife remains with her parents?
Yes.
And you're suing them for illegally locking you out of your house?
Yes.
On which you paid no rent?
I did pay rent.
Well, off and on when welfare didn't.
Okay, it's still paid.
That's Bird paying rent. That's not you paying rent.
I don't see what that has to do with this now. They locked me out. I pay rent. They locked me out. They denied me my stuff. They kept my dog.
Just a second. When you live with your wife in her parents' house and you have a fight and separate from your wife...
I didn't separate from my wife.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
You just told me that you and your wife are separated.
Yeah, she filed separation paper after I moved out. After they locked me out, actually.
Mr. Hollingsworth, you're not getting money for locking you out of a house that's their house that you lived in, for you, rent-free.
It wasn't rent-free.
Mr. Hollingsworth, let's move on now. Let's talk about your dog. The dog. In what year was the dog either purchased or rescued?
He was born 14 years ago from his mom that I own, too.
2 hard dogs.
Shh, just a second. And so...
I have a text message right here from their daughter saying, we can't afford to feed your dog, bring me money. It's my dog.
Mr. Hollingsworth, when you are divorced from your wife, the judge in court will decide whose dog it is. Right now, if it's your dog and you have been together with her since 2004, married since 2006, the dog is marital property over which I have no jurisdiction. That is true. That's what I'm telling you. That's the law.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to know what it is that you are asking for specifically back.
All my property.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
James Hollingsworth says his estranged in-laws, Alvin and Judy Adams, illegally locked him out and stole his property, including his dog.
Now, I'd like you to tell me the last thing in your complaint is your personal property. Now, that they can't take from you. When you left, what personal property, not marital property, personal property, did you leave in the house?
Everything. I didn't have anything. They locked the locks. I went home, and they wouldn't let me in, and I have nothing. They kept my clothes and everything.
Mr. Adams, do you have any of Mr. Hollingsworth's clothes?
No,
clothes. Do you know where his clothes are, sir?
He left. He came back the next morning. He got clothes. He come back the second day, packed up his clothes, and
That's
left.
not true. I have a police report saying that they
And-
said I left in January.
We never talked to the police about that. And on the 29th,
Police
Of
report
what
says
month?
you
or
did.
26th,
Don't speak.
him telling him that he was not allowed on my property unless he texts me, and he could come and get anything that he had left there.
He never texted me anything.
May I see that? Okay. Your wife's name is Lisa?
Yes.
On March the 9th, sorry to bother you, but Lisa's been putting me off all day. Do you remember texting him that?
Yes.
On March 9th? What was that about?
I'm trying to see my dog. And the police report right here says that they told the police that I left in January and that I took all my stuff with me. So which is it? Which is he not telling the truth about?
I want to know what it is that you are asking for specifically back.
All my property.
That doesn't do anything for me. You don't have any property that's yours.
Yes, I
If you've
do.
been married, listen to me, that's yours unless you tell me what it is. If you say to me, I have my birth certificate, my watch,
I
my
have
shoes,
a list of that stuff.
other than those things, that comes under the auspices of a divorce with your wife, with whom you lived in this house for many years, according.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay.
I have a list of my personal property.
I'd like to see it. Then I'll ask item by item. Where are you living now, Mr. Hollingsworth?
Kind of bouncing between my coworker and a friend.
So they have your car?
They had my car. It's not there anymore. I drove by. It's not there.
It can't be your car. This is marital property, sir. It's something that a divorce court is going to take care
My
of.
name was on the pink slip.
Missing list of property.
That's all the property that I believe is mine that is not hers.
Okay.
Together. I didn't
Do
list
you
any
have-
property as community.
Do you have either one of two suits, a Pierre Cardin suit and a Stafford suit,
No, ma'am.
and 12 pairs of black ankle socks? Do you have that?
No, ma'am.
They don't have it. They don't have it. I don't know whether your wife has it.
They
Did
do
you?
have it. They control the house. They told her not to give me anything. I have a text for that, too.
Mr. Hollingsworth, I suggest that you get a lawyer filed for divorce. A marital judge who hears your divorce will decide what of this property, if it exists, is marital property and what is your individual property, and the court will rule accordingly. Do you understand? That's not my job.
Whatever.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
They locked me out.
She did exactly what I thought would happen.
I want my dog back.
That dog is a family dog.
They can't afford to feed my dog, but nobody's going to give him to me.
We had the mother and father of the pup when it was born.
Yeah, there's time to get a lawyer.
We want him out of our life.
Her cleaning job came with conditions.
What was the oral agreement you had with her?
For 3 years from the moment she stops working for me, she cannot take any of my clients.
But did she sweep up his customers?
Hal was his client.
Me and Lugina cleaned his house under her company, and we got paid. I had no idea that this was prior his customer.
He slandered me. He called you a thief. Yeah, but you were.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Cleaning company owner Matthew Jaden is suing his former employee, Lugina Horoschek, for stealing clientele from his company.
Order. All rise. Jaden versus Horoschek.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Jaden, you are the owner of a cleaning service.
Yes.
And you started that cleaning service as a young man. How long ago?
Approximately 7-ish years ago, around there.
Is that your only business?
No.
What other businesses do you have?
Well, I'm currently a holistic physician.
What kind of training do you do to become a holistic physician?
So I had to go to a school of naturopathy and study holistic medicine.
Where?
Okay, I went to Trinity.
For how long?
It was a 4-year program.
And you graduated when?
I graduated about 2 years ago.
And where do you practice?
The Birmingham Royal Oak Medical Group, and that's in Royal Oak, Michigan, by the way. I also practice in, it's called Holistic. It's a new medical office in Royal Oak, Michigan as well. So I'm in 2 separate places as well.
In addition to this cleaning service, you have 2 medical practices. How many people do you employ in the cleaning service part of your business?
On average, usually I keep around 6, 7 employees total.
And how much do you pay them an hour?
They're usually depending on experience, but usually it's around 12 to 17 an hour.
And how much do you charge your customers per hour?
Depending on what they need done, if it's a post-construction cleanup or if it's
If it's a regular cleanup, $55 an hour for 2 people.
Yeah, so it's $27.50 per hour per cleaner. 2 people is $55
No,
an hour.
we're going to go slowly.
Sorry about
slowly.
that. All right.
$12 to $17 an hour is what you pay your employees.
Right.
And you bill your customer for regular cleaning. How much an hour?
It's $55 an hour.
It's your claim that the defendant breached a contract with you who had worked for you. When did the defendant start to work for you?
Lugina started working for me. It was approximately September of 2017.
Did you have a written agreement with her?
Yes.
May I see it, please? Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you, Bird. Do you have a signed contract of hers?
I did have a signed contract, and it somehow mysteriously disappeared. It's in the open with all the supplies, but she did sign an agreement, but we also did have a verbal agreement as well.
Would you give this back to him?
Sure.
That may be a contract,
Take a step over.
but it's not her contract because it's neither signed by you nor her. Okay, so now you want to tell me, Mr. Jaden, that you had an oral agreement with her. And what was the oral agreement you had with her?
The moment she starts, not take any of my, or solicit any of my customers or take any of my clients whatsoever. For that belongs to the company.
Do you recall having that conversation with him?
No, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what conversation you had with him when you started to work for him,
He
if you
told me
remember.
when I started working for him, if I don't touch his customers, and as I know it was 6 months.
What do you mean as you knew
After
it?
6 months of the customer leaving him, I cannot touch that customer just 6 months afterwards.
Okay. Mr. Jaden, what client do you allege that Miss Horishak took from you?
Okay. So I have...
The name of the client.
The client is Hal.
Is Mr. here?
No.
And how many clients of your company did the defendant work for?
Several. I mean, she...
Many.
She did at least, she did around 2-3 jobs per day. So 2-3 houses every single day, 5 days a week.
And the one person that you allege that she took from you is this Hal.
Correct.
Now, it's up to you to prove that to me.
Okay, so I'm here. I'm going to prove it to you right now. So Hal was a regular with me for approximately, it was about 3 years-ish, around there, that we were servicing him every 2 weeks. He would pay $110 every 2 weeks, and we would go there. You know, and that would obviously add up to be, quite a bit per year. But anyways, what ended up happening was that they developed a relationship with church, Lugina and her husband.
Okay, so the
They told me. Sorry.
So the defendant and Mr. Noonan developed a friendly relationship outside of their business relationship through church and whatever.
Right. So,
I mean, that's hearsay unless you know that, unless she discussed it with you. But let's say that happened.
And what ended up happening was that this is how I found out, was I have a key witness that lived with Lugina.
You have what?
I have a key witness here with me that lived with Lugina. She started working for me in January, roughly, of this year. Okay. That's Alexis. She's sitting right here.
That would be you?
Yes.
Yes.
And you live with her?
I did at the time.
Okay. Step up.
Okay.
Tell me your last name.
Yancy.
Tell me what you know about Hal and the defendant.
Well, I've known the defendant, Lugina, since I was about 13 years old. I've lived with her on and off over the years. She has her own cleaning company called Rosemaids.
No, don't look down. Look up here.
I just started cleaning with Matt, and we were just having a conversation generally, and I had said one of Lugina's clients named Hal. I had no idea that this was prior his customer. Me and Lugina cleaned his house under her company, and we got paid. I had no idea at the time that it was Matthew's customer, or a previous customer.
In what month, and you started to work for him in what year?
17, sorry.
And when did you stop working for him? Month.
Trying to think.
It was May.
Of 2019?
Yes.
And you and the defendant cleaned Hal's house together, but under her company?
Correct, under Rosemaid's.
Okay. Did she pay you?
We both got paid from Hal.
How much did you get paid?
I believe I got paid $50. We were there a couple hours.
Does that sound familiar to you?
It was 45. Yes.
Well,
Your Honor.
Do you want to explain to me then how that happened? Because even under your best case scenario, Miss Horacek, Hal was his client. You started to work for Hal while you were under his employ, and as far as you told me, your agreement with him was that you would not, for 6 months after you left, work for any of his clients, which is perfectly reasonable. But his witness says that she worked with you at Hal's even before you left his company. Is that true?
Yes.
Well, you can't do that.
Okay.
And, Your Honor, I do want to mention something. There was no way I would ever say 6 months, because even on that contract...
It doesn't. Don't tell me about a contract that doesn't exist.
She did sign that contract. She saw.
If I don't see it, it doesn't exist.
Okay, okay, I understand.
Well, I want you to be a good holistic doctor.
Yes.
Okay?
I'm actually a wonderful holistic
just a
doctor.
second. I want you to be a very, very good holistic doctor and listen.
You got it.
The first thing a doctor has to do is listen.
Absolutely.
Good?
Yes.
She has just said that she took Hal while she was working for you. She says she thinks it was a 6-month arrangement. I'm giving it to her that it was a 6-month arrangement. What difference does it make? She took your client. She wasn't allowed to take your client during the period of time she did. You got to listen to your patients. All righty. Now, Hal was a client of yours for how long?
Around 2 years.
And let's say in a 6-month period, every other week, 2 people went in.
Right.
Which is $55 an hour. Did you calculate how much money you would have lost as a result of taking that client for a 6-month period?
Yeah.
How much?
It'd be somewhere around $2,500.
Not a round. I don't do a round.
$2,500.
No, that's a get. What is that?
You have it written down here.
You have to
I
be
had it written down.
Hold on. Down here.
It was.
The answer. You could sit down now. How many hours a week did you? That's $110 a day, twice a month, $220 per month, times 6.
1320.
$1,320. That's 6 months. $1,320. That's what you owe him. You can't take his client. What?
Honor, I have a witness because when I was working, I quit. He slandered me in front of clients of his.
He called you a thief?
Yeah.
Well, you were. You stole his client.
But he was letting his old clients I used to do think I'm ripping their houses off.
Okay.
I have a witness to this.
You owe him $1,320.
Your Honor, before you make that, I also want to let you know that she did steal a lot of cleaning supplies from me while working for me.
$1,320.
I have proof of the cleaning supplies missing.
$1,320.
Okay. You got it.
Goodbye. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Sure, I have a judgment against them.
I'm just happy that justice has been served.
I think it was fair. She did a good job.
Once a thief, I guess always a thief.
It was one client, and I thought I was in my rights, too.
I mean, it's very frustrating, but sometimes really there's nothing you can do.
Because he was overcharging his customers more money than what it was worth.
Yeah, well, she's lying about that. Professional bone in her body.
I'm going to be his competition.
Yeah, may the best cleaners win.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barber versus England. Step forward.
Sherry Barber is suing her daughter, 22-year-old Chelsea England, for unpaid rent and bills and for selling her property without permission.
Miss Barber, this is your daughter.
Correct.
And Miss England, you were living in a mobile home with your father.
Correct.
And the mobile home was co-owned by you and your father?
Correct.
How long were you living in the mobile home with your grandfather?
I want to say about a year.
Who were you living there with?
My grandfather and myself.
When did your grandfather pass away?
January 13th.
Of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim, Miss Barber, that your daughter finally moved out of the trailer at your request and owes you for rent, utilities, and also sold some of the things that were in the trailer that belonged to your father.
Correct.
Did you and your father purchase it together?
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
He's been there forever.
In 02.
Prior to living with your grandfather, who were you living with?
I was actually on the road in the carnival. My grandfather wanted me to come home.
When you came home, what did you bring to live with your grandfather? What did you bring with you?
Just the clothes I had with me when I left.
After your grandfather passed away, did you sell any?
Continues in a moment.
Your mom said you can stay there until I sell it.
Correct.
I just don't know why we're here. I mean, we're talking about nonsense. We're talking about the whole trailer is worth $700. I'm asking you, why are we here?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sherry Barber says her daughter, Chelsea England, owes for rent, bills, and for selling her furniture without permission.
After your grandfather passed away, did you sell any of the property from the trailer?
I did, with her permission.
What property did you sell from the trailer?
Refrigerator, I had to sell to make ends meet. The patio furniture, I had to sell to make ends meet.
Well, what ends did you have to make meet?
I have a 4-month-old baby. I was pregnant when I was taking care of my grandfather, and I gave birth about a month after my grandfather passed away.
Prior to that, were you working?
I was working until morning sickness and a high-risk pregnancy caused me to stop, in which case I still took care of my grandfather who was on his deathbed.
So after a brief period of time, you were not working and you weren't working after your child was born. Tell me about the conversation that you had with your mom when she gave you permission to sell anything in the trailer.
I had asked her to come and get the stuff that she wanted, my brother wanted.
Why would you do that?
Because I had just given birth and I wanted, time with my newborn baby without a whole bunch of interruptions from everything else. It had been a month since my grandfather died.
Well, what made you think that since the mobile home belongs to your mother?
Right, and it was actually underneath the understanding that I could stay there until she sold the trailer.
Well, when did you have the conversation?
When my grandfather was still alive. He was a witness to that.
I don't want to hear you witness. Your mom said you can stay there until I sell it.
Correct.
Did you say that she could stay there until you sold it?
I told her she could stay there, Your Honor. I was going to let her stay
there until you... Did you sell it?
It's in the process of being sold.
Okay, and how much are you selling it for?
All I can sell it for is $700.
Did you give your daughter permission to sell anything?
No, Your Honor.
What do you think she sold from the trailer?
The refrigerator, the patio set. The patio set was brand new. It was not even 2 years old.
I just don't know why we're here. I mean, we're talking about nonsense. We're talking about the whole trailer is worth $700. So if you had a refrigerator that was almost 20 years old in it, so you had some new patio furniture, I'm asking you, why are we here?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He is the father of your baby.
Legally speaking, yes.
What do you mean legally speaking? Who did you think was supposed to pay these bills?
February and March rent was supposed to be a baby gift for my son and a birthday present for me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sherry Barber says her daughter, Chelsea England, owes for rent, bills, and for selling her furniture without permission.
I'm asking you, why are we here?
Because, Your Honor, she did not pay rent. I got the notice from the trailer park with the eviction notice with my name on it, and it says my name and other occupants that the rent wasn't paid, and it was an eviction notice from the place that owns our home. And I had to come up with money to pay that.
How much money did you have to pay the trailer park? And from what month to what month? When did you move out, Miss England?
Almost a month ago.
Okay, so the rent was from when to when for the trailer park?
February and March I took care of for her so she could be with the baby.
Okay, so what months are we talking about?
May and June.
And how much was the rent on the trailer park?
The rent's $468 a month.
And who was supposed to take care of that? You were living there and you got married.
Correct. I got
married. Just a second. So now you, your husband, and your baby are living...
We weren't married at the time.
When did you get married?
We got married on the night...
Your baby?
Legally speaking, yes.
What do you mean legally? What does that mean?
The biological father of my child is deceased. And the February and March rent was supposed to be a baby gift for my son and a birthday present for me.
$936. Is that why we're here?
For that, for the water bill and for the cable bill that she ran up in my father's name.
In what months?
From February on, for the cable bill, that came up to $821.95 that she owes for that.
May I see the bill?
That's the cable bill.
What kind of cable did you have there?
Comcast, And that bill is resulting of after my mother and I both as a team tried to get the cable bill turned on into my name, so that would not happen, and she just never went through with it completely. I was waiting on something for her end.
We're going to always somebody else's fault. You're living there, you have to pay the expenses there. So far, it's $936 and $821. What's left?
We have the water bill.
Which is how much?
Which was never paid.
Just a second, from when to when?
The last payment was made was in January, right after my dad died, and the next payment was the one that I made to pay off the water bill.
May I see it?
Yes. And I have a letter here from my daughter of the money that I gave her for the part of the water bill.
Who did you think was supposed to pay these bills?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Who did you think was supposed to pay these bills?
My mother's the one that told me she was going to cover it until she sold the trailer. I was never told I had to pay any of the utilities. I was never told I had to pay any of the rent. I would never received a copy of an eviction notice. She ended up turning off the water on me after she called CPS on me, and I do have actually her witness stating that she is the one that called on me, and she said that she's the one that called on me.
Okay, so far you owe your mother $2,852 for your living expenses when you lived in the trailer with your baby, with or without your new husband. She's not responsible. You're a big girl. You got to take care of your own expenses. If your grandfather took care of you...
I was taking care of him.
No. If he took care... You may have physically taken care of him. You didn't take care of him all the time because while you were with him, you got pregnant.
That was before he got sick. When my grandfather got sick, it was in May of when I first got pregnant. I was morning sickness, and I was the one that lived in home taking care of him.
I got it. You owe your mother $2,852. That's what you owe her for your living expenses, your husband's living expenses, and your chargement for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. May step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He didn't feel like I was going to be able to do the job sufficiently.
How is he discriminating against you? He's giving you an opportunity to work.
You're right, but...
Just say you're right.
Judge Judy.
She wanted my husband before I married him. No, I've been with my husband for 19 years. She even told me beforehand if I left him, she'd pay everything. No. My mother called CPS on me and made my life a complete mess. Between the hot water tanks being blown and how nasty her house was, I'm done with her. I want to move on. Someone took it upon themselves to try to save the baby. She lost that when she sold my son's stuff. It kills me because I watched that baby be born. Right to her grandson. I'd be able to see my grandson. It's time for us to start over. Time will tell, but I do love my daughter.
You worked for the plaintiffs, taking care of their father.
Another person's life was in her hands.
When did you start taking care of him?
14 months ago, January-ish.
No.
28.
When?
You worked in January, beginning, middle, or end?
Probably about the beginning-ish, middle.
If you can't remember when you started to work, I wouldn't let you take care of a goldfish.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Sheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
John Dick and his sister Casey Goddard are suing their former employee, Lisa Mayer, for an unpaid loan and attorney fees.
Order. All rise. It's case number 140 on the calendar in the matter of Dick Goddard versus Mayer.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Mayer, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
You were a caregiver for the plaintiff's father, who was ill. And there came a time, Miss Mayer, well, let's go back a little bit. When did you start taking care of him?
14 months ago.
No. Don't look at them.
Yeah.
Don't look. Shh. No. Don't speak. Month and year.
2018.
Month.
January, or 2019, sorry.
Not right.
After Christmas, we got through...
Just look at me.
January.
You should...
It was January 8th, the 2019.
No, don't look at...
I'm sorry.
That's the plaintiff's father as a caretaker.
2019.
Had you worked for an agency?
I worked for Southridge Nursing and Rehab.
And when did you according to you, when did you leave his employ?
It was in around April 4th.
So in total, according to you, you worked in January, beginning, middle, or end?
Probably about the beginning-ish, middle.
Those are two different things. Beginning and middle are two different things. Was it the beginning of January or the end of January?
Beginning of January.
So you worked for him January, February, and March, 3 months.
Well, longer than that.
So what are you looking for?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I worked there, it was after Christmas. We interviewed almost a year.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna let you compose yourself.
Okay.
Because I'm getting frustrated.
I'm sorry.
Because either there's something wrong with you, because I wouldn't let you take care, if you can't remember when you started to work, I wouldn't let you take care of a goldfish. Do you understand?
Okay.
All right.
It's fine.
You don't have to speak to anybody. You're not to speak to anybody.
Okay.
Just start to concentrate when you started to work and when you finished.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
In that 4 weeks, you're claiming that you worked $8,500 worth in that 1 month. That's what your claim is.
And later today,
Did you live there in June?
In my face, and I told her what had occurred and that I would just keep my rent and move out.
You can't just keep your rent and move out.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
John Dick and his sister, Casey Goddard, claim former employee Lisa Mayer owes for a car and attorney fees. Lisa is countersuing for unpaid wages and slander.
Stay seated. So did you figure out when you started this job?
July 3rd, 2018.
And when did you leave the job?
April 4th.
On what date did you take money for a car from the plaintiffs?
March 2nd.
March 2nd of 2019?
Yes, 19.
And 4 weeks later, were you fired or did you quit?
I quit.
That's what this case is about, that you worked for the plaintiffs, taking care of their father for a period of for 9 months. Then they gave you $3,500 because you didn't have transportation. And then 4 weeks later, you quit. Of course, not returning any of the $3,500 to them. Now, your counterclaim suggests that they owe you, in addition to the $3,500, which you say, I read your,
Yes, ma'am.
which I read your answer. You said the idea was that I was going to work it off. So in addition, in that 4 weeks, you're claiming that you worked off the $3,500 and an additional $5,000. So in that 1 month, because that's what you're counterclaiming for $5,000. So in that 1 month, you worked $8,500 worth in that 1 month. From that's what your claim is. I read your answer and you said the idea was, it was sort of an advance. They agreed to give me $3,500 to get a new car. I continued working for them, and then I suffered a stroke, and I still managed to go to work. And I have lupus, so for a couple of days I asked off, and I didn't want to put their father at risk, and they didn't care about my well-being, so I quit.
That is not how it particularly went down. It was a couple of months prior to that my pay had went down. We had agreed to put me on salary, and someone had to be let go.
Just a second. Your salary went down a couple of months before.
I was getting paid hourly, and then overtime was kicking in, so my money had went up a good bit. Well, they had kind of in a bind, so I said I will take a pay cut. We'll do this. We'll go to salary so that we can get things figured out to get.
Just a second. So you agreed to take a salary?
Yes.
In what month?
In February.
So in February you agreed to take a salary?
Yes.
When in February?
This one is February 9th.
2/9, you agreed to take a salary in what amount?
For $600 a week.
Your Honor, that is not true.
I don't want to ask you anything. Please, let me do my job.
Yes, ma'am.
For $600 a week? Did they pay you $600 a week?
For 2 weeks.
Okay, so they paid you $600, 2 weeks in February for the 9th, and then that week is the 18th, and the 18th to the 25th, which is almost the end of February. So they paid you in February $600. Then we come to March. Just a minute. Then we come to March. What happened in March?
We let someone go, and they were going over budget and trying to figure out how to maintain me and the other people working, trying to be feasible.
We're in March.
In March. And they said, we can't afford to pay you that. So we sat down, we went over numbers, which is right here where he wrote it all down, and it was dropped down to $400.
$400 a week?
A week.
Okay, so they were going to pay you
the car note.
Is it at that time that they gave you the $3,500 for the car?
That was given to me on March 2nd, yes.
Was the same date?
It was around, it was in the same week. So, but not the same day.
Week. So your salary was dropping down to $400, and the $25 was supposed to be payback for the car.
Yes.
So the car payment, which was $3,500, according to what you just told me, was a loan that you were going to pay back at the rate of $25 a week.
Yes.
So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay $425 a week in March?
Did I pay?
Yes. Did they pay?
They paid me.
They paid $400.
They paid me
$425
was taken out for the car.
Was taken out for the car.
Yes.
So it was $425 and you got $400?
I got $400.
Okay, so they took out $25 for the car.
Yes, ma'am.
So you paid $25 for the car.
Yes.
In the month of March.
Yes.
For a total of $100. Is
yes,
not an
ma'am.
answer.
I'm sorry.
And then you quit.
Yes, ma'am.
So then you owe them $3,400.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, then why are we here?
That because with...
Now I'm just buying what you just told me. They didn't say a word.
When I brought to them the fact that I could not survive on what we were doing and feasibly...
Just a second. When did you bring that to their attention?
I brought it
after
to
March?
Them in March, yes.
Well, you made the deal.
The deal was I was supposed to be bumped back up in pay and had this stroke. And trying to maintain and keep my life going, taking care of their father, I was working...
You owe them $3,400. That's so far.
Yes.
That's so far. And they're also, since you quit, which I get, now you work for 4 weeks and then you quit. Now, they also say that they had to hire an attorney to get this case going. Are you back working for
No, ma'am.
South Page? Where are you working?
I am not. I'm in college.
Who do you live with?
My fiance.
How do you support yourself?
I have financial aid from school.
Well, college is a very serious commitment.
It is a
Are
very
you telling me
serious commitment.
that college is easier than getting a job?
I can't... And guidelines, I'm not released from my doctor, so I cannot go get a job. They won't release me. I can't do lifting.
You owe them $3,400. Now, show me so far what it cost you to get an attorney to sue her for $3,400.
Your Honor, she actually made...
Would you do me a favor? Show me. And if what you're telling me is she made more than $100 in payments,
she made
how much?
$150. The well, I'll get with that one in a minute.
Let me tell you, Miss Mayor, while
Yes, ma'am.
you may present a sympathetic picture, it's not an honest picture. Because if you're living with your boyfriend and you realize that you can't pay them back, sell the car.
That's not the...
Sell the car. That's what you do.
I had every intention of giving the money. I got word back as far as the job that I was previously at. They're saying that I took from them and that I wrecked the car. It's, I don't know.
That's a whole jumble. You quit 4 weeks later after they gave you money for the car.
After I went to sit down and talk to them, I asked to have a meet and a talk, sit down and talk. And instead of being talked to about it, was a verbal, I felt attacked. I had suffered from the stroke, told them, brought it to their attention that I can't make it. I have insurance to pay and everything else. I never wanted to leave their dad. I loved their dad very much. I loved them. It wasn't an issue. It was just a give. I was giving everything I had, and then when I brought it to their attention that this was not...
They weren't caring enough.
No.
That's what happens, Miss Mayor. When you loan someone money, and if the person can't pay back the loan, or it becomes difficult, the person who made the loan, it's their fault. Either they have the money, it's not important to them, they disrespected my aunt, they disrespected me, they called my child a name, they weren't sympathetic enough with my physical condition. There's always a reason that a delinquent borrower will rationalize why they haven't paid the loan. All I said to you was, if you found them to be not compassionate people about your physical situation, sell the car and give them the money.
Okay.
You don't quit and not pay them. and then say, well, they weren't sympathetic enough, I had a stroke, and I really couldn't take care of their father, then...
I could take care of him.
Well,
I did a great job taking care of him. There's
Your Honor.
not one. I could have stayed and continued.
What are you giving me here?
On the back, it should be there should be a check on there that we had to write to that law firm.
$3,700
Your Honor,
judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Wait, did you understand what I just said? You don't have to say anything to me.
Yes, ma'am.
I issued a judgment in your favor for the full amount that you're requesting, $3,700. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It is what it is.
Judge Judy's fair and she's smart.
Because they loaned me the money. The disagreement.
We're pretty sad that this situation come to this.
I love that man.
She took such good care of our dad, and we got duped.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stevens versus DeCorley, step forward.
Tamara Stevens is suing her former friend, Crystal DeCorley, for unpaid rent, property damage, and a haircut. Crystal has a countersuit for property damage and slander.
Miss Stevens, I've read your complaint, and it appears to me that you and Mr. Corley were friends.
Yes, ma'am.
You had a history together of some substance abuse, but you have maintained, according to you, sobriety since for a very long time. You had a rental home. You were confident that Mr. Corley had maintained her sobriety, and you decided to let her rent this rental property. Is it a house?
It's a house, yes.
And it's not far from where you live?
No, it's only 2 houses down.
And how large is it?
It's 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath.
And who did you live there with?
My daughter, and at one point, my 2 nieces.
And what was your rent?
$500 a month.
When did you move in?
June of 2017. I gave a $500 deposit and paid $500 a month rent.
And when did you move out?
This past weekend.
Just this past weekend?
Yes.
She was supposed to be out June 16th. I evicted her. I evicted her June 16th. She was supposed to be out July 16th.
Where is the house?
The house is just 2 houses down from mine. It's on...
In what city?
In Salem, Missouri.
When did you do a walkthrough on the house?
We did a walkthrough yesterday morning, and then I gave her 24-hour notice, and we did a walkthrough last week also.
She moved out yesterday. When did you do the walkthrough?
Oh, she moved out Sunday.
Sunday?
Sunday. So I did Monday morning.
When did you file your lawsuit?
I filed my lawsuit 2 days after I filed my my eviction.
You filed your small claims lawsuit after...
Before my rent was even...
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's instant justice and there's ridiculously instant justice. And you have to serve somebody a summons and give them notice. That clearly didn't happen.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tamara Stevens says former friend Crystal DeCorley owes for rent, property damage, and a haircut.
Okay, you filed your small claims lawsuit. When you filed your eviction, I'd like to see the lawsuit that you filed.
I had to do an amended one after I found out more damage. Would you like that one also?
When did you find more damage?
For the 17th, or what date was it? Before I gave her the advance notice, and I did the walkthrough and realized there was huge holes in the walls.
I'm not happy
were there,
about...
many of which
I'm
were there
letting
when
you
I
know
moved
that
in.
I'm not happy about this case and the damage. There's instant justice and there's ridiculously instant justice. And if you move out on a Sunday in Missouri and on Tuesday you're on a plane coming to Los Angeles to try a lawsuit on Wednesday and you have to serve somebody a summons and give them notice, that clearly didn't happen. Not if she moved out on Sunday. So I'm not hearing any evidence with regard to damage. Zero.
Okay.
Zippity-doo-dah. Now, you evicted her in what month?
I evicted her in June.
Had she paid rent up until June? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes, ma'am. She paid May, and then June she told me she was not going to pay rent.
Because I was threatened with eviction by her husband.
That's all right. Did you live there in June?
Yes, I did.
And you did not pay rent?
Her husband had come down and got belligerent and in my face, threatening me with eviction, and 2 days prior to her asking for the rent, and I told her what had occurred and that I would just keep my rent and move out since I was tired of being...
You can't just keep your rent there in July.
And justly, I've been asking for repairs that were needed to be done on the house prior to me even moving in.
Listen to me. I'm not taking any counterclaim from you. Zero.
Okay.
because you two are not going to be able to demonstrate to me that you served her with a counterclaim and gave her appropriate notice. So the only thing that I will hear is rent for June and part of July. You have the following alternative. If you want to press the entire case, which includes damage, I will dismiss the case without prejudice, and you can go back to court in Missouri.
But there was other rent also. She owed me rent from January to where I let her pay $200 and she was supposed to pay me $300 with taxes, and I have proof of it also.
Fine. Okay. I will hear a claim for rent in June and any other rent that you claim she owes you.
Okay.
Because that lawsuit you said you filed at the same time you filed the eviction.
I did, and for the bed bugs also.
Understand this very carefully. I am hearing rent.
Just rent. Okay.
Period.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com.
Now, did you short her on rent the month of either January or February?
It was in February, and
the answer is yes.
Yes, we had come to an agreement. I have since also gave her $100 of that money back.
That is true.
So you owe her $200.
Yes.
And you owe her for the month of June $500.
Well, my rent isn't due until the 16th of the month.
On the 10th, I have the lease right here.
According to the eviction notice, it's due on the 16th.
You lived there the month of June. Did you pay any rent in June?
No.
Then you owe for the month of June. That's $700. $200 for the month of February and $500 now. Did you give her security deposit?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
How much?
$500.
You are not requesting that back?
It was mentioned in my counterclaim, I believe, and then she had the bed bugs issue. And I honestly felt like that $500 deposit could have been used as my last month rent. That's why I chose to try to get out before.
No, you don't talk about any security deposit. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Thank you very much.
What about the hairdo she owes me for, ma'am?
We're done.
That was a gift. That was a gift. What about the damages that I lived through?
Boys are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. The warning.
Never taken somebody whose own parent kicked him out, which is what? How did it get trashed?
Judge Judy.
It is what it is.
Huge holes all in the wall.
There were repairs that needed to be done to that house before I ever moved in.